Oh, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Fans Forum. We're a bit strange tonight because we're 10 minutes earlier than we should be. Because Chris is following us with a live watch along in the Copa de America. So at the minute, there's just three of us. I'm sure at 10 o'clock there may be more. But let's just start saying some homework. Thanks to everybody in the background that's supporting us. The mods in the background, thank you very much for all your support and hard work. And obviously, if you like what you hear, give us a thumbs up. If you don't, give us a thumbs down. It just lets us get out there amongst the crowd. And what we're going to do, talk about obviously what we've heard in the paper, press, social media, but not everything, because obviously a lot of the stuff that you hear has got no source behind it. It literally is just somebody going into the cupboard and picking up a paper and saying, "Oh, I've got an idea." But what we're going to do first, we're going to have a look at some tributes. I'm going to put a face up on the screen. If you guys want to say hello to everybody while I just throw this up in the air.
Good evening, fellas. How's everybody doing? Good to have you all in tonight again when there's nothing happening now, because England have just been bowled all out instead of being batting for another hour. Yeah. So never mind. That means we're not missing the cricket.
Yeah, we had to chase down 171, wasn't it, or something?
All out 85.
Oh, Jesus. Crazy.
Yeah, it's just that weird baseball thing you guys play to me. So
yeah, it's that baseball thing.
That's exactly what it is.
Semi-final of the World Cup.
I was gonna say, I was just gonna tease you when my beard's feeling nice and safe. You know, I don't think I gotta worry about shaving that after another fantastic England display.
Yeah, indeed.
So the first thing I want to do is Neville Bentaleb. He's had successful surgery to fit a heart defibrillator. And obviously, he's on the mend. He's getting better. Still, I believe, in hospital, according to the reports. But the report that I read on this lad was the fact that he's now going to retire from football. He's not retired, but he's obviously got to, he's got to really look at where he goes and his health. And I believe his family are behind him and his support. The next, I mean, you can't. When it comes to something like that, you've literally got to
put a price on
take the risks into consideration, haven't you? Exactly. Yeah. The other guy that I wanted to have a quick look at is this one. And here he is, Anthony Gordon. He fell off his bike
with his 40.
Yeah,
I got a bit of his neck and all he did.
He's got he got some facial injuries and he's got some hand injuries and stuff like that. But by all accounts, he hasn't got any injuries. He was in training today doing the usual bits and pieces. So good luck to him. And what was the other one?
Looks like
I believe in the classic UK, it's just a flesh wound, right? The famous UK.
Absolutely.
Stiff up a little bit. It looks more like a carpet burn to me than a cross-country bike accident, to be fair.
I wasn't going to look at his knees, matey, to be fair. So, a couple of reports that I've read out today. Spanish report came back. I mean, obviously everybody's talking about Mamadashvili, right? It's gone really quiet for Newcastle on the goalkeeper front. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to dig a little bit deeper and have a look who's around. And there's obviously a lot of reports out there about Mamadashvili apparently being very upset with Newcastle. Apparently, when they spoke, the decision was that him and Pope would share the responsibility, but Pope would still be number one keeper. And he didn't like it. He took a little bit of a little bit of the hump to that. I mean, you know, we've all seen him in the Euros. He's been outstanding. He's probably one of the bright features in the Euros. For somebody that we've been linked to. There's another lad that we've been linked to. I've seen today, which really excites me. But again, it's come from a source. Anyway, let's talk about this, and we'll go on to the guy in a minute because I'm going to get a bit thrown. Mamardashvili, I still don't think, if I'm absolutely honest, because of what's happening in the next line, I don't think we've heard the end of Mamardashvili yet. I believe, because of the link now with the other keeper that's coming in, or has been asked for a short period of time to come and step in, is there a possibility that Mamardashvili could be our number one?
Well, I think if Mamardashvili's coming here, he is not coming here to be anything other than number one. But the downside to the chances of him coming here are that, as you rightly say, he's put in some stellar performances. I mean, I'm saying stellar, you know, they've been good.
Yeah.
But that's also affecting his value, because all of a sudden they're not talking 30 millions anymore. I've seen quotes of 60 million.
Yeah. Well, according to the source, it's 35 to 40 million. That's the direct source.
But it was 30. Well, it was 40 million euros weeks ago.
Yeah, which there was a clause out there saying it was 60 million as a release clause. The problem is that it's very much the same as Elise's release clause. If the clubs are given the go-ahead to go and approach by the club, then they can discuss the price. Very much like Chelsea tried to do with Elise, like we tried to do with Elise. But in the end, you went to Bayern Munich with the 50-something million pounds plus add-ons. And I think that's the way it's going now. I think it's very much going like when you look at all of these budgets now, there's very few teams that can start cherry picking above £50 million, and that's what we were saying before. You know, there's going to be a lot of teams out there that are looking for the cream of the crop under that 50 million threshold, and Mamardashvili is definitely one of the creams of the crop, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, back to your question, Gary. I agree with you. You know, if he's coming in, I would expect him to be one. I guess the only thing is are people saying there's a belief that we'd then be also getting rid of Pope? Because I don't think
my point.
I don't think
because
Pope,
I'm going to slide into the next one. Mate.
Okay.
So I made a comment the other week when and it was laughed at a little bit because people didn't believe the source. So John Ruddy, 37-year-old keeper, ex-Birmingham keeper because he's been released now. He's been offered a small contract by Newcastle. And he wrote in social media, "I would just like to say thank you." So John Ruddy, I know, isn't going to come and shake any trees up because obviously he was in the side that got relegated with Birmingham. But has he come in as a number 3 to support and put pressure on Pope and Gillespie, or is he coming in to be the number 2, which worries the shit out of me, I must admit.
And me.
To be honest, I mean, I'm a little too novice in my knowledge of him. I mean, I've kind of pieced together some of the stuff through other people, but just kind of reading the room of what everyone else is saying, no thank you.
Yeah.
It just seems a little odd.
It does, mate. And that's what I said. Is the Mamardashvili completely off? Or are they going to go in there and say to Pope, thanks, but no thanks? Because it's really strange. I can't believe that for a minute, that Pope's going to be just pushed out the door. Don't get me wrong. But there's got to be only one number one. They can't share that position.
No.
Unless it's agreed by both parties. But again, according to these reports in Spain, he's saying, no way, I am not sharing the role of the number one shirt. It's mine and I want it only. Ben's just joined us. Hi, Ben.
Hey, guys. How you
So,
doing?
mate, we're talking about, I'm very well, mate. I'm very well. We were just talking about the Mamadashvili report, saying that he wasn't happy with NUFC, Newcastle giving him, if you like, just saying to him that he's got to share the goalkeeping responsibilities with Pope. He wouldn't be number one. It would be, some type of, so many games for both players. What's your thoughts on this?
I just thought of something. I don't know. Just hear me out, right?
Yeah.
Nick Pope wants to be number one. Mamadashvili wants to be number one.
Yeah.
We're still trying to get the kid from Burnley, right?
Yeah. Well, it's gone
photo?
quiet. It's gone all quiet, matey, on the goalkeeper front.
On the Trafford
Just so
front.
I know you don't know much of our championship and lower leagues, buddy. Birmingham City.
I know them all.
Oh, fantastic, matey. Birmingham City have just dropped down into League One, got relegated, and their keeper, John Ruddy, who's 6'4", 37-year-old, very experienced keeper, but a bit flat-footed, quite a large gentleman, a stocky lad, well-built lad, much like me very self. He's been approached by Newcastle with a small contract. Now, I have no idea what this small contract, but he's actually wrote on social media, "Thank you very much." Oh, sorry. All I want to say is thank you. And obviously, the only thing I can think about is this approach from Newcastle United to him direct. Now, the problem is because he relegated. He was part of the relegation team last year. He's not the most mobile of keepers. Where's that come from? Is he going to be our number two? Is he going to be our number three? I hope to God he's going to be coming number three and just down the pecking order. But again, nobody knows.
So what do you think about this? What if we went out, we got Mamadashvili, right? Then we also got the kid that you're talking about from Birmingham City. He'll be number two. And we could sell Pope for loads of money. And then our keepers are sorted and we've got loads of money.
Well, that's what I've just been saying to the guys.
Who's going to give you loads of money for Pope, just out of interest?
I think he would get decent. I don't think
decent money. People are looking for keepers win, aren't they?
Yeah, I think he would get good return. I mean, I don't know.
Would get more than we're paid for him, that's for sure. But
for sure.
Would you get more than 20 for him?
Yeah.
You think
if
so?
Trafford's going for 20, how wouldn't Pope?
Yeah, why would Pope not go for more than Trafford?
I mean, the only thing in Trafford's favor
if I was looking
is
for a
the
keeper,
potential.
I wouldn't be looking at Pope.
My wheels are just turning, guys. That's all. I'm just.
I know, mate. I know.
No,
But
funnily enough, what I'm saying is, Mom, the Euro, and I've said that I don't think much transfer business will happen at all until the Euros are finished. And during that time, there's going to be players who make their reputation and whose values rocket.
Yeah.
Now, it just so happens there's another goalkeeper playing in the last 16.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
And he's playing against England.
Yeah.
And I know everybody's got a hate on him at the minute.
I never hated him.
I
was on your
you
side.
know me, I've always backed him.
I was always on your team with Dubravka. That was just me.
Listen, I agree with you if I thought Dubravka would be content staying. And in my opinion, it's been made clear he is not content staying.
Exactly it.
And that's the only reason why I say you move on. And biggest thing, again, I don't know that much about Ruddy, but my only question is, why the hell do we have Gillespie if Ruddy is somehow jumping the line in front of Gillespie? Like, I'm not saying that I really want Gillespie there, but I mean,
I don't think Gillespie minds. He's collecting a check.
No, I know he
I'm-
doesn't
what-
mind,
what-
but I'm
the-
saying,
what-
why do we then keep giving him anything if it's like he's there, but everyone is just constantly jumping in front of him? I mean, it sounds like Wynn's golden retriever would be in front of Gillespie if we signed him, you know?
It doesn't mean being
He
Cinderella,
books the
does it?
taxis, though. He books the taxis on the
Just-
players' dues.
Just going to throw Foxy's comment up on the screen there. Look, good mate of mine supports Birmingham. Asked him about Ruddy. He said he did well for them. Won Player of the Year the previous year, but no way is he a Prem keeper now.
I
I'm
know
not-
somebody
like I
else
said,
who won Player of the Year a couple of years back.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, this is what I'm saying. The goalkeeping front at the minute seems a little bit all over the place. Now,
No,
I
the
would
point
imagine Karius is coming in for Ruddy's coming in for Karius. Andy's just joined us. Andy, I don't know, just so you've got your obviously some idea. Did you hear any of the story? Do you want to
I
give
heard
us
the Master
your
Dilly.
point of view? Yeah.
Is it regarding Mash? I think you're right. I don't think we've heard the end of this yet. The upsetting thing that we've got to deal with is if we do get him, we're probably going to end up paying more than what we originally bid or were quoted in the first place. And probably a stiffer competition. And I do agree. I think if he does come in, he will be number one. The argument then is Pope happy to be? I wouldn't say backup to. It is a backup statistically, but he will get games. Let's be honest. You know, there's going to be the FA Cup games. There's going to be Carling Cup games. But I don't see a goalkeeper at that age wanting to start on the bench.
No,
No,
mate. That's what's
as
happened to
Dubravka
Dubravka,
doesn't.
isn't it?
But the
Yeah,
point I'm
exactly.
making is, if Dubravka's value suddenly, if he has a blinder, and his value
It's limited his value, though, isn't it? When he's got a ceiling.
we
because
will
of his
get
age.
more money for Dubravka, which would be more money to put towards
What would
Marmalade.
you rather? What would you rather? Listen to this one. What would you rather? Dubravka keeps a clean sheet against us, and he skyrockets in terms of price if we're trying to sell him, or would you want England to just win?
Well,
Listen, Gordon's going to tell him just
No,
put in,
normally for me,
put in
it's
crosses,
clubby-
and Dubravka's
clubby
going to do the
country every
hokey
time.
pokey, and you'll
But if
score every time.
Dubravka has a stinker, I'll be the happiest man in the world.
I mean, the way I look at it, I'm still not 100% confident that the team, and I'm talking about the coaching staff and medical staff, are 100% sure that Pope Shoulder is going to last the full season.
I agree.
That's my thought, and I'm again because we've seen obviously he's had 3 shoulder injuries now. I know one wasn't a serious shoulder injury. But you've got to look at it now and say, if that's the case, if they've not got the faith in Pope, why don't they go for Mamardashvili and potentially look at Pope going elsewhere if he's not willing to be our number 2? That's the way I'd look at it now. If they're not 100% behind him, why keep him?
The problem
Is that
with
why they're looking at Ruddy now? Maybe. Sorry, go on, Ben.
no, go ahead, Andy. You're right.
Andy, I can't hear you, buddy.
Can you hear us now?
That's well,
Hear us
you're a
now?
bit ruffled, kidder. You're a bit ruffled.
Sorry, it's the new headphones that meant to have it
Oh, that's
updated.
better.
mic on.
That's better. Yeah, you're there now, mate.
It's probably my looks in the way, mate. That's what it is. I was just thinking maybe we're looking at the backup choice now, i.e. Ruddy, as effectively the Dubravka role. Get him in, and then we offload Pope, then go and get Masvidal. But I think that's a gamble if you get rid of Pope before you get your number 1. I don't. It's a difficult one, isn't it? I'm sure Ben that was probably going to cover that as well. Apologies to interrupt you, mate.
No, it's okay. All I was going to say was, it's not like when you're an outfield player and you can have a sub. It's not like you're second string like you are if you're a keeper, right? That keeper's going to play majority of the games. The second string might get chucked in on a lower cup game or what have you, but other than that, most of the season they're going to be on the bench. And apart from Gillespie, what keeper wants to do that and is okay with doing that?
Well, the answer to that is no keeper worth their salt.
Right.
And I think that's why the more and more I think about it, there's a little bit of, as much as I love Marmadashvili, I think you should maybe go for Trafford, because I'm not sold on moving on Pope. Because I don't know. I like Pope. I think there's still there. And I think we know what we're going to get. There's still a little bit of like, what would you get from Marmadashvili? Don't get me wrong. I think it's a very calculated risk. But again, there have been plenty of instances that you see someone tear it up in a different league. They come to the EPL and it just doesn't vibe for some reason or another.
Against Portugal, though, that's pretty good, isn't it?
Sorry, what?
Yeah.
He put a clean sheet up against Portugal. That was
no, listen, like I said, it's a very low risk. I'm just saying in general, I think to me, other than Pope getting hurt, you know what we're going to get from Pope, unless heaven forbid all of a sudden he falls off a cliff this year, which again, I think is pretty unlikely. Where I think because of Trafford's age, he would be willing to wait. And I think from what a lot of people are saying that I've heard, I think could be your goalie of the future. So you're kind of getting two birds with one stone. And again, one of the common things I think everyone said with all this goalie chat, why are we talking so much about goalies? We've got so many bigger problems.
Yeah, of course.
And not that I wouldn't love Marmadashvili, but I'd much rather us spend $60 million on Nico Williams or something than Marmadashvili, because I think that's going to cure more problems and give us more points on the table than just getting a way better keeper.
And a right center back.
Well, interestingly, I heard some people talking about, just kind of like Pope, Marmadashvili's not so great with his feet. And not that I'm personally one that really cares for that. But again, if you want to talk about playing and fitting in the system, I think bigger picture, maybe Trafford would develop more into it. And it's less risk on an FFP standpoint, which as we sit here today, we still kind of have to play with one hand tied behind our back. So I think I'd rather take a gamble on someone being a $20 million bust than potentially overpay because of a great Euros. And now you're talking about a $60 million bust.
Well, I think 60 million's out of the question anyway. But he has a bit of left field, and you heard it here first. The one thing that's been going on recently is trading between the FFP strapped clubs and massaging, shall we say, of the figures of players' values. Two of those clubs which were involved were Newcastle United and Everton. How's about Pope goes to Everton?
Don't say it. Don't say it.
And Pickford comes to the Toon.
Oh dear!
How do you think that would float everybody's boat?
Wow!
I was hoping he was going to do a Pickford then, not be able to reach the words. You know, literally not reach what he was about to say. Please don't. No.
I'll tell you, we could do a lot worse.
I see. It's funny for me. Again, I've said on the channel a few times, combination of not being a local, kind of only really getting into the Toon in 2015. I have very limited memories of the Derby, so I don't have the same probably hatred to them as I do as many of you. However, I hate Everton, and I kind of just enjoy hating Pickford. So I just kind of almost for no other reason than the stupid reason of I want someone to hate. I kind of just don't want him.
Yeah, but isn't it nice to go and pick Everton's pocket as we did with Gordon?
Me personally, as much as I legitimately think Pickford's a great goalie, I think that is literally a 100% lateral move. I do not think Pickford is a better goalie than Pope. I think they both have their strengths. They're not the same goalkeeper. So there's things that Pickford would do way better than Pope, but there's things that I think Pope does way better than Pickford. So, I mean, it actually to me would be quite logical, but I don't really see it pushing us forward.
The fact that Pickford is between the sticks for England tells you who's the better of the two.
No,
No,
just
it
says
doesn't.
who's the
Yeah,
manager
doesn't.
of England.
It does.
He's got a
It
great
also
record,
says
to
that
be
he's
fair.
been
You
fit.
can't fault his record.
Sorry,
Josh.
what's that, Andy?
Pope hasn't been fit, so he couldn't push Pickford this year because he hasn't been fit.
No,
Do you
exactly.
think he would have done?
Josh, do you know how bad the
Yes, I
hatred?
do.
How
Go on,
bad,
Dan.
Southgate does as his favourites, though, doesn't he?
how bad the hatred Newcastle Sunderland is? I asked my father. I said, if for some crazy reason my son got signed to Sunderland, I said, would you go and watch a game and wear a shirt with his name on it? He said, absolutely not.
No, not a chance.
He said,
Not a
absolutely
chance.
not.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's hard.
If you're sleeping in the garden,
I think sometimes as supporters, certain clubs will always tear your heart in two because you've got the love for the kid and then you've got the hate for the club that they could potentially be playing for.
Yeah.
And you have to go sometimes with where you stand. Me personally, it would always be my kid. If he's got a chance to get his steps on the professional ladder, he could go anywhere, to be fair. Anyway, I'm going to move away from goalkeepers because, to be fair, I'm feeling quite depressed because to think we've got 37-year-old Ruddy potentially on our books just drives me absolutely insane. We'll go to the other end of the scale. We've obviously been linked heavily to a centre back recently, Malik Thiaw. Don't know if you guys have seen much of this gentleman play. Very, very, very good defensive player. Very much on the forward thinking. When he's coming out of defence, he likes to bring the ball forward. He likes to get quite high in the field. Very much like Shaw does, but he seems to command a lot more of the defensive area than Shaw does. I think I've got the two of them. Bear with me a second. I'm going to open up another one because you can see on this map here.
he's not frightened to leave his area as well as he Barry. He marshals strikers.
Yeah, so
Away.
if you look at Malik Thiaw, and I've literally looked at him against Fabian Shaw. When you come down to the heat maps here, can you see that?
No,
You're
there's
not
nothing up.
sharing it.
It's not on there yet.
Yep,
No.
not yet.
Oh,
I see.
Sorry, I know. It's here. Sorry, boys.
No problem.
I keep forgetting to do that.
You got it.
So if you look at the defensive third, look at how much more Malik covers the entire back four. And then if you look on the advanced, bringing the ball forward, he's very much over the halfway line compared to Shaw. Now, we've often said about Shaw and his forward movements,
But
and sometimes
the only thing
wanna
you
just
need to
shout
bear
and
in
get
mind there,
back.
unless you've got the long passes completed as well, because Share's game is not to bring the ball forward. Share's
Get the
game
ball
is
forward.
to use the ball and
Yeah.
hit the ball forward.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's going to be some differential here because Malik Thiaw's just got over an injury, where Shah's been absolutely, with us throughout the entire season.
Yeah.
So comparing minutes, he's a bit low. But if you look, appearances, 21 appearances, 4 goals from Shah, nothing from Thiaw. Obviously, expected goals is going to be much higher. But what I like all the way down, I mean, Shaw is not more dominant because obviously he's played more games, but they both like to play the long ball. And I've got a little bit of a clip that I want to show you of some of his game.
Real quick before that
mean-
clip, Gary, we actually got a super chat. Just wanted to shout out Lewis here. He said, would I hell wear a Sunderland top if I had a family?
I mean, like I say, everybody's going to. Excuse me. everybody's going to have a yay or nay. Oh, I've just swallowed a bloody nut. Excuse me. And that's where you go. If it was me, like I said, and it was for my boys, I wouldn't stop him. I wouldn't stop him at all. But that's just my my thoughts. Can you see this, guys, on the screen? It's not come up yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, no.
Obviously, I have to keep going back to a different window.
There you go.
So apologies. Here we go. So this is just some of his game. It's a couple of minutes long. What I like about this lad is his pace. Look at this now, getting back. His pace is there.
Doesn't dive in here, does he?
He's
He
huge.
plays right across. Yeah, he's a big lad. He's right across the park. He certainly likes to come. And like I say, his distribution isn't bad. He likes to change play. Stand up. I love that. Doesn't go to ground. He waits for the attacker to make a decision, and then he goes from that. Very forward thinking. I think, like I say, when you look at him for our right-sided centre back, a right-footed centre back, for me, he ticks all the boxes. I made a list of several centre backs that I would love to have seen at our club, and luckily for me, he was on my list.
Also, Gary,
I'd go on, mate.
isn't it coincidental as well, though, that he plays on the right side and Botman plays the left, and AC Milan were adamant they wanted Botman. So it's clearly Paolo Maldini thought that they were going to be a good partnership as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to close it off there. I mean, you've seen enough. I mean, look, and we've all said YouTube makes everybody look brilliant, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And
Win doesn't like these.
Again, it's just for me about giving, from what I've seen of him, and like I say, I don't follow a lot of him. He fits in that perfect mould of what we've got with Shaw, and that for me was exactly where I wanted to be. So on my list, I had Diamonde, Scalvini, I can never say this, Todibo, and I had Malik Thiaw. So when his name got mentioned,
That's the one.
I was quite excited.
Yeah.
I
don't know if you saw Foxy's comment here. I just wanted to pull it up while we're still on Thiaw. He mentioned he's a liability if you play a high line, can't handle coming up against power and pace.
That's Foxy,
decision making, commits a challenge, doesn't have the pace to make up for it. Now, some of those, I think we saw some pace in what we were just watching. He did say good aerially, though. The only other thing I was going to say is correct me if I'm wrong, he's still on the younger side of things, correct?
Yeah, he's 22, mate. Yeah, 6.
Yeah, so again, you think about those kind of
22.
things when you're talking about a center back.
I like that.
They age like wine. So some of those traits that I think Foxy's saying, I can't say I've watched Shaw so diligently, so I'm not going to disagree there. However, I would say you've got enough time to work those things out. Maybe the only thing you can't work out is if you don't have pace, you can't create pace in a player.
Yeah.
You're typically fast or you're not. However, those other things, decision making, I mean, that is like 101 that comes with age, Yeah,
so you can see on here, look, he's 185 centimetres. That's about 6'4". He can play midfield as well, according to this. So, a defensive midfielder, centre back. He's played 1,600 minutes. Again, nothing brilliant regarding XG, but that's not what we want from him. And again, if you look from here, he's got a couple assists, so he's quite high on the assists.
Do you think
down here, when you come to progression, look, he's very good. So Foxy's
I
brilliant
know at the
at
San Siro when we
analysing.
played Milan in the San Siro, Murphy got the ball. He
Yeah.
was on his wrong side of the penalty area,
Yeah.
and Thor took the ball off Murphy. Isaac was moving in at the time, and he dribbled his way, but he got the ball off. We were on the attack. He got the ball off Murphy, dribbled the ball between Murphy and Isaac, ran the ball to the halfway line, and that was one of the ones that they nearly scored. One of the 26 saves or something that Pope made.
Do you
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it would be good?
So he's
towards the bottom
and
here.
I said to the kid next to me, I says, "Whoa, what's this? He looks a bit of a player."
So would it? We have Tonali, right?
Oh.
Did he play with Tonali when he was there?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
assume so.
I think that would be good for
It wouldn't have been
Tonali.
a great deal, but he did.
That'd be good for
But
Tonali if
it's-
he had another teammate come in. He might know him. They might get on a bit. I think it would be a good confidence booster for both of them. What do you reckon?
I agree with you there, Ben. The only thing I was thinking is I know a few other rumors have been to fellow Italians. And I think getting him a fellow Italian could potentially fit that kind of thing a pinch better, given that Theo's...
But he's actually German.
No, I know that. That's what I'm saying. Theo's German, albeit he's playing in Italy. I'm saying we've been linked to, weren't we linked to an Italian youngster at one point late last week? I'm blanking, maybe a left back or something. I feel like there was someone in the last 7 days in the 10,000 people.
You're not about Tomori. He's partner,
No,
right?
not Tomori. He's
No, I think he's on about Atlanta's left.
Atalanta. I think that sounds right. I think he played for Atalanta. I'm totally blanking on the name, but he was another one of these 21, 22, potentially kids for the future. And but I do agree with you, Ben. If they played together, definitely a solid thing. And I heard some rumors again from some sources today. I don't know if it's true or not, people that are, whether they're in the know or not, but heard some rumors that we were actually looking at Theo even last summer and it just didn't work out. So again,
I think it may have been because he lost his position.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know whether that was like an injury or something like that. He lost his position and he's found it difficult to get back in the side. Now, you've only got to have a look at the bottom part here. The one thing that worries me a little bit about him is his obviously interceptions. Blocks are up there. It's not bad. Clearances, I expect that to be a little bit higher. And aerials won, I expect that to be higher. But his size, I would have expected that to be a little bit higher.
But as Josh said,
I just think, transfer mark notoriously low on their valuations, right? But he's a regular AC Milan starter, and transfer mark have got him at 25 million. I think Foxy's probably hit the nail on the head. He must have a few deficiencies.
Well,
absolutely.
The one thing, just curious, could you pull up quickly, Gary, with what you have screens? I'm curious what his numbers compare against Botman. Kind of someone similar age profile.
Let's have a look.
Botman. A lot of people questioned when we went for Botman.
I was so surprised this season. I met a few fans when I went to games over here in the States that were already turning on Botman after kind of this season. And I'm like, have you forgotten what last year was? Listen, he's a young player and you've got plenty of time to make up. And I still think even though he was playing significantly worse this year, I still think at times he was plenty serviceable.
So here's a question. When Botman comes back, if Lloyd Kelly's playing in Botman's space, when Botman comes back, if Lloyd Kelly is tearing it up and he's doing well, how hard is it for Botman to get back in the side?
It won't be. But that's what we want, Ben, isn't it?
Well,
these are the good problems to have. But I think Kelly's more left back. I think he's bringing, even when I watched that Brighton video that everyone's quoting, where they talked about, or not Brighton, Bournemouth, talking about him. they talked about him as a left back. They didn't talk about him as a center back. So I think he's more there to maybe help give balance to Lewis Hall, and that way, hopefully, we don't need to put Dan Burn back there.
Here's a thought, just thinking out loud. Maybe we're looking at going 3 at the back with wing backs. Lewis Hall's better as a wing back. Timo Livermento's better as a wing back.
We have heard, I did hear someone say that recently, a theory of are we doing this to give us that flexibility, or would we maybe transition to a wing back system? And that's an interesting thought.
I don't think Eddie's changing anything. I really don't.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Could you see this, guys? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yep.
You can see by the heat map, Botman spends a lot of his time on the left-hand side, doesn't really venture over to the right-hand side at all.
Yeah.
Where this guy covers everywhere. So what that allows us is if one goes forward, he's got the pace to actually get cover on the side. Now, a couple of times I've seen him, I have seen him playing as a left-sided centre-back. But again, I don't know whether that's a natural or whether it's a forced issue.
But Gary, to that point, yeah. Gary, who is this kid playing with on his right? Because Botman has been playing with Shar, and Shar's got his thing locked down. So maybe this guy's got to go over and help his guy next to him. I don't know who plays next to him.
Yeah, cover him. Yeah,
well,
totally right.
If you look at obviously Botman played less appearances because obviously his injury. But Botman still comes out higher in the expected goals, his passing, assists, expected assists, big chances created, long balls. He's probably just because he's done 2.6 and he's only done 2, but they're both very similar on the balls. So, to be fair, he's very much in the frame of Botman without the experience. Botman's very young. Now, how would you guys feel if we looked at the system as we've got now?
There's another.
And go on, Win.
There's another Botman Theo comparison, and they've got overall they've got Botman 70 and Theo 66.
I'm assuming that's on a scale of 100. That's not a massive difference.
I'll take absolutely no notes.
Attacking, they've got Botman 70 against Theo's 64, but defensively, they've got Theo in front 44, 29. There's a whole load of metrics going to these numbers, but basically they're comparing one against the other.
Can I make a quick point? Can we not focus on a right-footed center back to back up Shaw? Because we've got.
He is.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, he's a right-footed centre back.
On the left.
But like I said, he covers the entire back the way he runs.
But what
he does, if one player's going forward, he's got that flexibility, if you like. There's a video of him. Diaz at Liverpool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a video of him against Diaz. Now Diaz has got the run on him. They're all at the halfway line. The ball gets played over. Diaz is gone, and Theo actually catches him up and takes the ball off him. And for me, that's the type of player that we want. We want that, player that's going to be able to, I quite like the fact that when you look at what Andy said about going 3 at the back, we have the option now to go against the big teams, the bigger teams that have got the players, and say, you know what, let's have that solidity. What I liked about Theo was the fact that he has got that defensive role, can come out of the middle into the defensive midfield and still do a job. I'm not saying he's going to be spectacular, but what I'm saying is he can still do a job there.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether that's what Eddie's looking for, somebody who can just step in to that role from being a flat 3, coming into that defensive midfielder. we don't know what he's looking at this year.
And
But
Botman doesn't do
by
that.
Christmas, we are literally going to have a lot of if this lad gets signed, obviously, a lot of very good, strong centre halves. Some that can adapt, to a left back. Some very much predominantly centre halves, and that, to me, that gives us that base to give people a rest. The one thing we never did the last couple of years is have anybody on the bench that we could change. And I think now we're looking at that, aren't we? We're looking at that depth of squad.
Well, all it's going to take for Shar to get an injury in the Euros and do an ACL, and he's out for 6 to 9 months. And then we're looking even more at a guy back there. So,
yeah,
we don't know.
Always look on the bright side, Ben, eh?
Yeah.
Just to back up Gary there.
I think it just gives us
Listen,
flexibility.
I tell you what it does do, right? It shows you that season before last, we had a virtually unchanged back four.
Yeah.
Didn't suffer back five. No injuries at all. And with an unchanged back five who played virtually every game, albeit we didn't have as many that year. We got knocked out the cup and we got moved on in the Carabao, but in the Carabao we did swap them. And it shows the difference between having a settled back five. To me, it does anyway.
But you're right.
With a settled back five, because everybody gets to know each other, and this was why all of the conversation arose about Dubravka being shy, doesn't have the confidence of the back four. Yeah, well, he's never played with them, etc., etc. It was never the same back four. So there's a million reasons for why that happened. The one thing we do know is with our back five, if we can keep them together, we know that they're effective. They were the best defense in the league.
To that point, what you saw last year was all the injuries without as much depth. So I'm thinking if we had more depth in those back four, back five, we might not get into those injuries situations if all those guys were playing less. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's Sven. Look, coming back on his rehab,
God
doing the hard yards now. So he's looking well, mate. To be fair, he's looking really good to be this far down the road, and he's already doing the strength building work now. I think it's positive. It's very much a positive. So from that aspect, I'm really pleased.
Good.
But, I mean, like I say, I just think whichever way we go now, it looks very positive, doesn't it? It looks very positive. The fact that now we are looking at these guys, looking at young stars. Now, obviously, we've just signed the 19-year-old lad. Miodrag Pivas. Well, we haven't signed him yet, but he's obviously in town. I mean, obviously 19. He's not really played any senior football. But again, YouTube wonder. It makes him look very, very good and very solid in his game. Another lad that can play defensive midfielder, and also he's played right back. He's played centre half on the right hand side. So again, brilliant at ball control, brilliant at bringing the ball out. All the positive things, but to me, this is one for the future and probably not one for this season.
Oh, absolutely.
Potentially could be bought to be.
I'm pretty sure I heard he's playing. He played in the second tier of Serbia, and,
yes.
and no disrespect to other leagues around the world, but I mean, if you're in the second tier of Serbia, I don't think you're jumping right into the.
To be fair, he was in the promotion team, though. So.
Yes, his team did finish second, I believe, and they were promoted. But still, I don't think you're making that jump.
I mean, I just hope, I've said this a million times now, like a broken record, I just hope that we spend our money on elite players who can walk straight into that first
Well,
team.
I think
And-
that's where I disagree with you, Win, because FFP makes that not possible.
I still
It's not
think we've
even-
got 100. I would rather buy one absolute 100% quality player and a couple of cheapies rather than buy 2 or 3.
But wouldn't you say
Kinda-
last
We
season
did that last summer
proves
when
the
it
risk
didn't
of
work.
that?
Sorry?
I was going to say, don't you feel like last season proves the risk of that? We kind of,
Yeah.
in essence, did that. We put all our eggs in the Sandro basket, and I think had it not have happened, we would have done exponentially better. I think he, at minimum, gives us maybe 9 more points that we did not earn this season. However, you lose him, and there's no one to come on. So I think too many people are wanting to make a jump too fast. I still think, in a weird way, getting Champions League last year is a little bit of a curse because now all of a sudden it's like Champions League or nothing's good enough. And I think if we had made a more gradual step, no one would be thinking that way. I think I personally would rather us build up the bench so that way when you take someone off, it's not like, oh gosh, you can really see the drop off.
The problem, Josh, though, is that is what happened. We did get to the Champions League the year before, and you're right. And I agree with Win. We need another guy. We need a big signing, someone that's going to come in, walk onto that team, and perform. I agree
But
with
look
both.
at
We don't have to spend 60 million on the process.
And we
just
didn't have
improve
to
the
then.
team. And the bench automatically improves because the person whose place he takes,
Yes.
who was first team last year, drops down onto the bench.
Yes.
Or
So
get
that
sold
happens
like me.
automatically.
You see, if I'm honest with you, I agree with everybody with what you're saying. But for me, just going on what Wins just said there, I don't think Eddie will want to upset the team the way it's set up as we speak now too much. So I don't think, apart from the right wing, he is looking to replace anybody on that park because they have gelled for the last 2 seasons. He'll want that continuity. What he'll be looking for now is to add the same quality for the replacements because they'll need, as we've seen, if you look at the likes of Anthony Gordon, 6 months with us, absolutely rubbish when he first signed, come on massively in the second tier. Well, he wasn't. He wasn't. I mean, his head wasn't right. He was trying to do too much too soon. But you know, he did a job for us. But I think you've got to look at. We are still in June. We're not even entered July yet, and every other big club out there are looking for those really good youngsters that can not improve the first team, but improve the squad. And that's what he's looking at first, because one, you know, PSR's restricting us. So we're still looking at PSR. 2, whatever money they've got available in this, at this present moment in time, in this pot, we are literally looking at what we can afford around. I still think in the months to come, the 2 months to come, there is going to be 1 or not 2 big signings. I agree with everybody's argument. I've noticed the time. We've only got another 5 minutes before.
It's adding competition without upsetting apple cart, isn't it? You've got to add competition without upsetting everybody.
But you've. If
There's
you
a
want to
fine
go
line.
forward,
I mean, they are
you've got to
professional.
do
They
that.
are professional. So you
Agreed.
got to move on. Sorry to cut you off, Wayne, but I do, like Gary, I know you've talked a lot about it. I think there's a lot to be said about the psychological side. You know, putting it even into another, you know, the joke, happy wife, happy life. I mean, it's amazing how sometimes life just seems to tick along easier when she's happy. Same thing, I think, kind of is a little relevant to the team. But I do agree with what Wynn says. You can't be just sitting here and saying, you know, we'll use Longstaff as an example. Not saying that I think I want Longstaff gone. But there was a point last season where it was just like, listen, I love the guy. He could be the nicest bloke in the world. You could see him as a son. Get his ass off of the pitch for his own good.
Yeah,
you
Gary,
know?
I think we're not going any further than we did this past season if we don't upset the apple cart.
I guess it depends on what you define as the apple cart. I do agree with you. We need a big name signing. I think right wing, we need a big name signing.
Yeah, but he's going to walk in on the right hand side, isn't he? If you get a big signing in the middle of the pitch, you're going to upset one of Joe Linton, Bruno Tonali, or Willock. Whereas if it's on the right wing, it's even someone that doesn't watch Newcastle would look at the Newcastle side and go, where do they need to improve? They need another striker and they need a right winger.
Right then, guys.
Because if you get a top right winger in, he's walking straight in the team.
Yeah, I'm just going to talk about this guy because I've had a look at Peter O'Rourke, who's a transfer correspondent. There's a number of clubs, including Newcastle United, looking at this Eurostar, Georgios Mikotadze.
Has he just signed for Metz?
Yeah, so he is obviously playing for Metz, second tier in the French league, and he's obviously, unfortunately, he only signed for Metz last year, and obviously they're playing in Division 2, but he has shown some amazing stats. To be fair, to try and get rid of some, I hate these. What's the names? If I can get rid of them, I will. But they're just not letting me show it.
That's women. That
was he on, was he on loan last season, or was he just made a permanent, or was he just? I could have sworn he just signed this summer. I read something wrong somewhere, Gary. I literally thought he just signed before the tournament for Metz.
That's what I said. He'd signed. I'm going to get that because it's full of ads. Sorry, I don't want to do that. He had signed. He'd signed for Metz at the end of last year, but he. Obviously, I don't know. I don't follow the French league whatsoever. You guys, Foxy definitely will.
The French
I don't know whether they were relegated last year.
If anybody says they do, I think they're probably kidding us.
First division, not the second.
But obviously, it's just interesting to see us linked to this guy because I think he has got a really, really bright future. I mean, again, 23-year-old. He's played just under 2,000 minutes.
He just scored, didn't he? He just scored for Georgia in the
Euros. Yeah, absolutely.
You said
he's per 90. He has over 2 shots per 90. Assists 0.2.
Well, the thing is, you're on FBref there, though, Gary.
Yeah, exactly. That's not brilliant.
His percentiles. I mean, I don't know for certain because I don't often look for French second division, but I would think that the French second division will be is probably his comparisons are with English third and fourth division and Belgian. Dutch second division. So
I mean that's how FB
unless he's sort of 99% green on every single column, you need to be.
But here's the other thing about this kid: will he walk onto our team, and will Eddie put him on instead of Almiron or Murphy on the right? I don't see Eddie do it.
No, I mean. I agree with you there. The only thing, just to play devil's advocate a little bit, again, I agree we need a big signing, but I feel like if you look back in the past couple transfer windows and who were the big signings, how many of them would you actually sit there and say, looking now, was it worth it? Would you say Caicedo was worth it? Would you say Enzo Fernandez was worth it? From what we've seen to date, it doesn't mean that they.
If you look at the back end of last season, I would say yes. When they finally started, getting their
Darwin Núñez. Everyone, I mean, I think Darwin Núñez is.
Yeah, struggled bad with Ajax, couldn't adjust to the Netherlands, did well with the Mets on loan, but not enough to keep them up in League One. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, everybody's, everybody that they're looking for is this young second tier type player. For me, I thought, potentially because of his age, he could grow into the team. But again, I don't watch a lot of the foreign leagues, so I've never really seen that much of him apart from in the Euros. So anyway, Chris is with us because
I've
he's
got an
obviously now.
impatient Chris there now looking.
Yeah,
happening? What's happening?
Gonna
The
be doing
USA
the,
versus Panama coming up, ladies and gents. Copa America coming up. Thank you so much to Gary for taking care of the fans forum tonight, and all of you for showing up. Appreciate it. Hey, Benjamin, man, you're wearing the wrong shirt, man. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, good man. 3 Lions.
Good lad.
Come on, man. You're supposed to be supporting the U.S. tonight, the Stars and Stripes, man.
I'm gonna support
But
them. I'm gonna
yeah,
support
it's gonna
them.
be
Don't worry,
good.
You
don't
can
worry.
sharp change your shirt, man.
Don't worry.
That's right. All right. Well, I guess the match should be starting soon. So, if you happen to be interested in not going to bed right now, shoot to the second channel or join it with the link right there that's pinned in the chat. But there's a redirect feature that technically you're supposed to just sit there and get redirected to that stream. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. So be mindful of that. If you're still
Chris,
in a
put the link
on
in
the
the
screen,
WhatsApp
yeah.
for that, please.
All right, yes, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. The US, we got to
Just
do
while we're
what we got to
waiting,
do.
just while we're waiting, Chris, I just want to say thanks to the lads who showed up tonight on the forum for your chat. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys. It's over to you, Chrissy. Go do your thing,
All
man.
right.
Yeah.
I'm
Don't
going
forget to tune in
I
for
just said,
American Mags tomorrow too.
oh yeah, American Max with Josh. American Max with Josh. And after that, after the American Max show, we're going to be tuning on to the second channel again. We're going to bring in Martin from the Mancunian Way to talk about Man City's issues. It's more of a neutral channel, so stay tuned for that one right after at 11 p.m. UK, 6 p.m. Eastern
American
time.
And
So,
hopefully that by then, Chris, hopefully because the
verdict's
judgment
supposed to be out.
is it supposed to be out tomorrow on the legal case?
Well, he said no. He said we'll have to wait and see. Anyways, that stream is going on right now. Appreciate everybody, of course, and
We've lost your audio, Chris.
We've lost your audio.
Yeah, you went swimming.